swimming a jig isn't anything new, but it is deadly effective. You can cast along and reel it faster underneath the surface. You can drop it into holes, you can flip it, you can pitch it. There's no limitation to it. Oh, yeah. Nice one. Anytime I got clear water and a lot of cover like this, one of my favorite things to do is swim a jig around these, docks and over the grass and things like that. The water's so clear that a spinnerbait is almost too flashy and too bright. And the great thing about this is I can skip this underneath docks and stuff. And he's way back up there underneath the shade, and he just came out there and ate it, just like it was a spinnerbait. I'm just swimming along right underneath the surface. Great fish. With the right setup, you can get this in places that you can't get many other baits. Again, it's real subtle and they're real natural. Right here, I've got a bluegill colored one, and in real clear water like this, that's what the bass are feeding on. So I'll put a trailer on it. But right now, I've got a rage craw on there. That's probably my favorite trailer because it just has a lot of action. You just cast it out there and just reel it back steady. This dock right here looks real good. It's a real big dock and it's real low to the water, so it provides a lot of shade. When you have all this grass like this, that's what cuts that out, and that creates a clean area underneath there, and it's a good place for the bass to hide. So I'm gonna skip that jig back underneath there and see what happens. There he is. Just like that. When you got it low to the water, it's gonna give a lot of shade there, but most importantly, there's no grass there, so the bass can just sit there and they can just wait for something to come in there, and he just thought he was gonna get a bluegill. And he got my jig right there. So I love this swimming jig for this because you can stay back from a distance and fish like this. I use a different rod than I normally would, for normal jig fishing. This is not a flipping stick. You got to have something you can cast accurately with. For this technique, you want to use the same type of rod you would for throwing spinner baits or for accurate casting. A shorter rod is going to be more accurate. So I'm using a 6.5 foot medium heavy action, and I'm using a high speed reel, a 7-to-1 gear ratio, and I've got 50-pound braid on there. When you're throwing around a lot of these steel pilings and in this thick grass, I like that braid a lot better. I can skip it real well, get it back underneath there, and swim that jig out. And when you get one, boy, no matter what he takes you around, you're going to get him out. Let's see if there's another one. One of the things I really like about this swimming jig is not only can I swim it, and it's designed to fish real well through thick cover like that, but I can use it just like a regular jig. So if you see something real thick and gnarly that you just want to pitch it out there and drop it by, you can fish it just like you would a regular jig on a flipping stick too. So it's very versatile. The color is probably the most critical thing with it, is that you really want to have colors that match the natural forage, especially in clear water like this. There it is. It's just not easy to get a lot of baits into places like that. And this jig is really good in a lot of other places too. Right on the corner of that dock. I like to fish it around boat docks in the fall. And I'm going to match the color to the forage in the situation. Here in this clear water, it's primarily bluegill. A lot of the lakes I go to though, it's going to be shad. So I'm going to use a white jig or a smoky shad colored jig and use a matching trailer with it. If the water's a little stained, black and blue, black and chartreuse, a color like that, that's a little more visible, that silhouette's a little bit better. That's the main thing with this jig, is just pick something that's natural for the conditions, or if the water is dirty, make it more visible to the fish. And you can use it with rattles or without. In clear water like this, usually I don't use a rattle on it. In dirty water, always use a rattle. It's a great technique.